Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm Angel, the fitness angel. It is a beautiful day here in Nashville, and I'm so excited to be with my friends. And I call them wellness warriors and health heroes. Those words have been sticking in my head lately. I see another friend, Maureen, popping on. Welcome. And guys, this is on Facebook. So if you want to share it with a friend, feel free to share. And if you have questions, reach out to the person who invited you so that we can help you on your journey. And I love that we titled this Lose the Menopausal Middle, because if you're in that 40, 50 up age category, you know what I'm talking about. But there's simple solutions. And I'm so excited because in our community, we have a wonderful library of webinars. And my good friend Barbara Sipes and I were listening to this webinar on healthy hormones. And she is a fitness instructor. Barbara's a fitness instructor. And that's how we met. And she's a holistic nutritionist, and she started her whole nutrition journey because of her sons being athletes and then just having history of health issues in her family. Most of us can relate to that. But she has so much knowledge and wisdom. I thought we need to share this with our friends, and we need to dig a little deeper. So we're going to show just a short section of this webinar. And if you have any questions that come up, please put them in the chat, and I may call on Brandy to help with that. She's so good at that. So we can go through those questions. Yes. And on Facebook Live, if you have a question, you could type it in the chat as well. And we're also blessed. We have an OBGYN in the house, retired. And you also were the medical director for an anti-aging clinic, Dr. Doug Odom. So we're so fortunate to have you here as well, because I know you know all about women and our health issues. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to start this short webinar. Like I said, this is a great library of resources for us to share with our friends. And this is Jen Pike speaking. She has a great Instagram page too, I found, if y'all want to follow her. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Okay, hang on. Let's see, share sound. I don't know why this makes me jump through so many hoops, but here we go. Let's try.
Young girls, all the way up until, honestly, as old as they are, that they want to learn about their bodies. So I'm working with young girls in a prepubescent to puberty stage, into their teens, their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. Because the incredible thing about being a woman is that our body is a gift. I honestly believe that we have these magical feminine superpowers in terms of our menstrual cycle and these internal phases and rhythms that are happening all the time. And one of my big goals in life is to educate women beyond what textbooks have taught us, beyond what we might even be learning simply in our doctor's office, and to start to change the quality of the questions that we are asking about our health, to develop a deeper relationship with the awareness that we have when something starts to feel off, when we feel symptoms, when we have a sign, an inkling, that deep intuitive part of our body that says, I don't feel right. Something is definitely not fine, even though oftentimes the women who are coming into my practice have been to multiple practitioners, have had, quote unquote, all of the blood work done, and they're fine. Everything is normal. Meanwhile, they do not feel fine. Things do not feel normal for them in their body or in their life. And so my big goal is to get you to become more curious, to be brave enough to ask different types of questions, and then to change the quality of the conversations that you're having with your practitioners in your life, but that you're having with your family, with your friends, with other women. If we don't start to change the way we're talking about the things that are happening in our bodies, if we don't begin to become more curious about these signs and symptoms, we get stuck and we start to say things like, well, this is just normal. Everybody suffers from, thyroid issues. Everyone suffers from weight gain. Everyone is sleeping. Everybody suffers from anxiety or some depression. Everyone has PMS. Everyone has horrible periods. Everyone's complaining about that. And the reality is that's not actually normal. They're very common things, but they're not normal. And so part of what my goal is in talking to you all tonight is to teach you about how our adrenals and our thyroid really relate to our body as a woman, and how we can understand a bit more about these two areas to optimize how we are feeling day to day, how we are feeling cycle to cycle, how we're feeling through perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopausally. Because for so many women, they are taught that when you enter menopause and beyond, that once your cycle is gone, like, you just don't have any rhythms anymore. This is just life now. You're going to forget everything. You're going to be sweating all the time. You're not going to sleep. Your waistline's going to expand. And, that's just your rite of passage as a woman. And it's it's just completely untrue. I was going to say BS. I don't know if I'm allowed to quasi swear on here. So we're going to pull that one back in. But it's not true. And this is the struggle that so many women have, is we've been led to believe this story, or a part of a story that's not actually true. And then we are allowing it to really stifle us, to literally like put this fog over top of our system. So when something does come up and we're not feeling okay, and we just say, well, that's just normal. I'm just going to go through this. This is just, like I said, that rite of passage. And so tonight, I'm going to talk to you about your adrenals, your thyroid, and how they relate to perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. And my goal is that by the end of this, you are more curious, you are asking more questions, and that you are changing the conversations that you are having with other women. And one of the first places to begin changing the conversations is actually with your mother, with your sister, with your daughters, and to start to, even your grandmother, any of the women that are part of your, genetic lineage that are around you, that you grew up with, that you came from, that you are connected to, about, well, how does your body feel at certain times of the month? And what was your experience? It's like you are creating this database and you are doing your research and development. This is, for all of you who are coming into an event like this, you are that person who is curious. You've done the research and development. It's how you came into working with this community of women and whoever it may be that has connected you here tonight. So I don't want you to lose sight of that. Now, I might talk about things that are a reminder for you that you already know, and this is just kind of a nudge back in that direction. I might talk about things that really challenge what your current belief systems are, and that's okay too. Again, we're all just coming into this with an open mind and with that sense of curiosity. So what's critical to know and understand and to work on before we hit the panic mode when it comes to our adrenals and our thyroid and our hormones, and before jumping on something like hormone replacement therapy or anything medication-wise when we're talking about hormonal shifts, is really the what and the why behind what is actually happening and going on in your body. So I think it's important to understand, first and foremost, that although our emphasis tonight is on the adrenals and the thyroid, your digestive system and your gut is truly that area that you want to be focusing on honoring first. Are you breaking down the food that you're consuming? Are you assimilating and absorbing the nutrients from the food that you're getting in? Are you pooping regularly? Because ladies, that's massive in terms of properly detoxifying estrogens from your body and toxicity as a whole. So those are things that I would say to you to start with first. Do I have digestive issues like gas, bloating, constipation, reflux, sourness, pain, any of those types of issues? Is that maybe where I need to put my energy first for a little bit to try to calm some of those inflammatory triggers down, and then start to maybe kind of edge my way into some of the things that Jen is talking about tonight? So what do your adrenals actually do for your body? Well, they're pretty important. And I write about this in my book, The Simplicity Project, and I describe them the same way every time, in that your adrenal glands, so you have two of them, they sit on top of your kidneys. They're actually around between your 10th and 12th thoracic vertebrae. So if you were to think like where the bottom of your bra strap is, you kind of take your hands like this around and your thumbs are there. It's oftentimes where we have a lot of decreased mobility from sitting hunched over, driving in chairs, carrying children on our hips like they're a shelf, heavy bags, all of those things. This is an area of a lot of tension for women. And these adrenal glands, they're super powerful glands because they are part of our body's perception and response to stress. So they're like your SWAT team. When things start to get hot and heavy and the body is at a place where it can no longer kind of really handle what's going on, and that perception of stress starts to increase, your adrenal glands jump into action, and they're going to produce certain hormones. That the most common one people talk about is cortisol. And cortisol gets vilified. It's actually a fantastic hormone when it is in check and balance. It is a hormone that actually helps our body control inflammation. But when cortisol is too high, when you are under a constant amount of stress, when there is something that happens that you weren't anticipating, you feel like the rug was pulled out from underneath you, your body is probably going to produce an elevated amount of cortisol. And in that case, you become catabolic. And that means that your tissues are starting to be broken down by these levels of cortisol. It'll also start to diminish certain hormones as well too. So the more chronic underlying stress that's happening in your body, the higher this cortisol level is, the more wear and tear that is happening on your system. This is often how women will say, you know, I feel like I'm doing everything right. I'm eating healthfully. I'm exercising, you know, all of these things, but maybe not recognizing that because they're not getting sleep or they're waking up between 1 and 4 every morning, that is really what's causing the issue. There could be an environmental trigger around them. Could be fragrances, something synthetic. It could be in their work environment, in their building. There's lots of different triggers that could be, you know, part of that. It could be mental, emotional stress as well too. It could be the thing that we think we've dealt with that we've really just kind of shoved down that is trying to work its way to the surface. It might even be stress that we have from witnessing somebody else's mental, emotional stress that's going on, just being that support system for them. So it's important to understand this, that when we're saying, you know, the adrenals are having this overreactive response, it's that it's not always coming in the way that we think it is. Meaning that it doesn't mean that, you know, you go at full velocity in your life all the time and everything is crazy and hectic. And sometimes some people's lives are like that, and that makes a little bit more sense. But for the individual who feels like they're checking off all those boxes of, yes, I'm doing life correctly, why am I still not feeling well? This can start to help to paint a picture as to what's going on. Now, with the adrenals, this is something that a lot of people maybe haven't heard before, don't understand, but if you've ever been told that you have an issue with your thyroid, you know, underactive, overactive, or an autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's thyroiditis or Graves' disease, the issues really have started within your gut and your adrenals long before the thyroid actually becomes that source of showing up on testing. And the tricky part is that we don't actually have, there's not much blood work out there to be testing adrenals. You might have a doctor who does like a one-off cortisol test on you at that one point in the day when you're in the doctor's office. But in order to properly measure the adrenal function, it has to be done 4 times a day. And typically that's either done through a saliva test where you like spit into a tube, you collect about 4 milliliters of saliva between 6 and 8 a.m. You do it again around 12 to 1 p.m., again sometime between 4 and 5 p.m., and then sometime around 10 p.m. in the evening. And the reason that this is so vital when we are trying to track the chemistry of what's happening in our response in our adrenal system is that this is going to look at what is your cortisol upon waking. So that first test of the day, if it's saliva, or the preferred test that I use is actually a dry urinary test in my practice, is going to tell me what was happening with your stress response in your sleep. So if you're the woman who says to me, you know, I fall asleep like no problem, but then I'm up, I'm restless, I got to go pee, I lie back down, I can't fall asleep. And I see that your cortisol was either sky high while you were sleeping or it was rock bottom. That's going to help to give me some indication as to what was going on in those sleeping or non-sleeping hours. Then there's your cortisol awakening response. A healthy adrenal system, an endocrine system, should allow that cortisol to double within your first 30 to 60 minutes of waking. How do we do those things? Full spectrum light. So open up the blinds, you know, get off your devices in the blue light in the morning. Hydrate your system, get your body up and start to send the message that you are up and going. You know, don't snooze in the morning, maybe do a couple of stretches. It could be like simple things like that for yourself. And then we're looking into the afternoon. So we see this, you know, the rise in the morning, then we want to see a slow decline coming into afternoon. When you have a fast drop off in the afternoon, this is when your energy plummets. And when you are just like, I need to have a nap, I need to have something sweet, your cravings start to increase. And if you don't satisfy yourself, if your blood sugar is unstable, this is where things can kind of get out of control. And so what's important to understand is we're supposed to have that natural decline, but at a point where you're stabilizing your blood sugar all day, you might feel it a little bit, but then it evens itself out coming into the evening and start to get lower and lower as you get closer to when your bedtime should be. And all of these are physiological signals to your body that's saying, hey there, hey Anne's body, hey Margaret's body, hey Sue's body, I want you to know that it's time to start to wind down for bed, because cortisol is like our sun hormone. Sun goes up, cortisol goes up. But melatonin is our moon hormone. So when the sun goes down and the moon is what we see, that is when we want melatonin to be rich. And that melatonin, ladies, that helps to keep your cortisol in check, but it helps you to sleep. It helps you to heal. It is a very anti-inflammatory hormone, and we produce it in the gut, but in that pineal gland. So when you are seeing lights from your street lights outside, when you are on devices in your bed at night, when you're on the computer too late into the evening doing work, you know, if you're at a hockey arena with your child at 11 o'clock at night still because they're older and still playing, whatever it may be, all of that artificial light is sending the message to your body like, I'm still on, still got to keep going. And your cortisol production, not only does it stay up, but your body is like, well, man alive, we were not designed to be producing cortisol for like 18 hours a day, but okay, this is the signal that's coming in from the boss, so I will pump more out. And there's a term called adrenal fatigue. The adrenals themselves don't actually, unless it's like there are some issues like Cushing's and Addison disease where different things like that can happen. But the reality is when we hit that plummeted fatigue line, this is a signaling mechanism that's been happening behind the scenes for a very long time, where eventually your body is just like, I am so sick and tired of you sending me a signal that the sky is falling and that we got to move faster and we got to hustle and we got to go harder. I'm just not responding to you anymore. And so these are kinds of things that start to happen. So how do we negate some of those things? We get off the devices at night. You know, we wear blue blockers. We create a routine for ourselves in the evening like we would for our children. You know, you don't, for your child, turn on every light in the house, have the music up, blaring, overstimulate them, feed them sugar and junky food, give them a glass of red wine, and then throw them into their bed and say, now go to sleep, right? Like, we don't do that for a reason. We know they'll be wired and that will come back to bite us in the butt. And that is the exact same pace that so many people are living. As soon as the kids go to bed, that's my time now. It's when I'm going to run around the house and get everything done. It's when I'm going to go to the grocery store, when I'm going to watch Netflix, when I'm going to catch up on my show, when I'm going to get onto the computer. And we think we're actually, that's creating a level of self-care, that we're taking time for ourselves, but we're really tearing things down behind the scenes. And when this is happening with the adrenals, your thyroid is going to start to become impacted because they are in a relationship. There's something called your HPA axis. This is your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So it starts in the brain. The brain is where that perception piece happens. The adrenals get sent the signal like, okay, I need to respond now to this perceived stress, which it doesn't know whether it's real stress, it's you just anticipating stress, or if it's you, like when you watch a show or a movie and you get scared, your body has no idea that this is entertainment. Your body is like, oh my gosh, we're the one that is actually being chased, or we're the one that is in this situation. And so that's why you sweat and your pupils dilate and all of these things happen. So if you start to think to yourself, well, oh my gosh, you know, what's the day that I live? What are the cues that I'm giving my body? There's actually nothing wrong with your body. Your body is simply responding to what it is that you're providing it the information, right? So this is where it's like, interesting. What type of information am I giving my system? And that's really empowering, I think, when you understand that there's a lot more that you can do that's going to cost you nothing to help to benefit your adrenals and support the thyroid by simply just being aware of that lifestyle piece.
All right, guys, I'm going to stop it there. This is a 40-minute webinar that we can share with you. So reach out to the person who invited you. But I'm excited because we know gut health matters. We know the adrenals, the thyroid, it all works together. That's why we're keeping all that stress, and it's just building up around the middle. So I'm so excited. Barbara and I have been talking and brainstorming, and she has some great information to share with you. So I am going to, I'll mute myself out and let you all have Barbara. She lives in Kentucky, so we don't get to spend a lot of time in person, but we talk on the phone all the time. We do all these wonderful Zoom calls together, and I'm just so excited for her to share with you guys because she does teach lots of classes in fitness. She's a fitness expert, and so she knows that. And so many women in her classes and in my classes too, I'm a fitness person, they want to know, what do you eat? How do you stay trim? I mean, she's a lot trimmer than me, let me just say, but how do you stay lean even as you age? So go ahead, take it away, Barbara.
All right, thank you, Angel. And I really just wanted that video to play because I thought she did a great job explaining the adrenals. And I think most of us are on high alert all the time. And, you know, and I'm guilty about, oh, it's night, let me sit down and just relax, watch TV, whatever, but that messes up, you know, our sleep patterns. And so I thought that was real important to emphasize. And she talks really, really fast, but she got a lot of good information in. So I thought that was, so I'm sorry it took so long though. So, Angel, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen, I think. Here we go. So this is the name of our thing. And I just had, I wanted to inject a little humor. So I have a, you know, she was talking about the cortisol and how we're so wired. And I thought this was so funny. So my husband said the spark was gone from our relationship. So I tased him. I'll ask him again when he wakes up. So, you know, we're always on edge and sometimes maybe a little, when we're really high in cortisol and stress, we might get a little testy, so I just thought that was funny. So, and again, just talking about the signs of menopause in a little bit more humorous fashion. Your scale seems to be broken because you look, you know, you gained weight, you don't know where it came from. Someone has left the heat on everywhere. You wear your PJs to designer clothes. You prefer your PJs to designer clothes. Everyone seems to be nuts because they think you're moody. You start to think that your husband's facial hair is contagious. And I know it happens. No matter what the experts say, you are certain the secret to a long life includes coffee, wine, vodka, and chocolate. And kale only makes life seem longer. Your dryer must be overheating because your clothes keep getting smaller. Your skin sometimes itches for no dang reason. Your memory isn't as good lately, and you really don't care what anyone thinks. So, and then if you can, you probably can't see it. If you can, let me move you guys out of the way. I thought this was cute. So when I asked for a smoking hot body, menopause was not quite what I had in mind. So anyway, so let me put you guys back up here. I've moved you down where I can't see my own stuff. There you go. Okay, so we know it with with menopause comes hormonal changes, and we start to get a decrease in estrogen and progesterone when we stop ovulating, and sometimes, and that throws us off balance, and sometimes that can lead to weight gain. Now, it's not a guarantee, not everyone gets it, but you do often see this redistribution of your fat, so it goes from your hips and it starts to accumulate in the belly, abdomen area. And the problem with that is sometimes it's not just that subcutaneous or that external fat that makes you, you know, feel uncomfortable in your clothes or wearing a bikini, but it's the visceral fat that's around your organs that becomes very, very dangerous. And we are usually not even aware that we have that. So that is one thing that we really need to keep in mind. We also know that, you know, starting at age 30, our muscle mass starts to decrease. Bone mass starts to decrease, and so we have to be very mindful of those things. And we find too that as you know, sometimes as we get older, people sometimes become less active, and that, you know, they might not work out, different things. Sometimes you know, these hormones lead us to want to eat things that are not healthy, and we tend to follow those. So all of those things working together can lead to this weight gain and cause issues. And again, I'd say most people don't get enough sleep. You know, we should get 7 to 8 hours, and you know, our lives are busy, lots going on, and or we'd like to take that time at night and we end up watching a movie till late or whatever, so we don't get enough sleep. Lots of unhealthy eating. You know, life is fast. You know, people like to have a lot of fast foods, stopping at restaurants. And a lot of people I know say, I don't cook anymore. You know, a lot of people don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen, so they rely on other kinds of foods, and those aren't healthy. And then, you know, we have so much stress. You know, just if you watch the news, there's stress. We're busy, we have jobs, we have children, you know, we have bills to pay, all kinds of things. So with that becomes that release of cortisol that she was talking about that keeps us on high alert. And it puts us in fight or flight mode, which is really hard on our body when it's extended. You know, we need that for times when we must escape something or react real quickly, but you don't want to stay in that state all the time. It's very, very detrimental. And then, of course, as we age, our metabolism naturally slows down, and sometimes it can lead to insulin resistance. And that just means that your cells are resistant to the insulin. It doesn't let the glucose get into the bloodstream or the muscle like it needs to, and that can lead to things like type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. So let's see. Okay, so we know our hormones determine where our fat, where it's stored. It controls, our hunger. We have two hormones, leptin and grayling. One, leptin helps us know when we are full, and grayling helps, lets us know when we are hungry. And those can get out of balance too. So when that happens, we don't want to stop eating, and certain foods will lead, help with that addiction, like lots of sugary foods, lots of processed foods, but we don't know when to stop, and we overeat, and that leads to weight gain. So let's see, I think I covered some of that. And of course, when we lose muscle mass, often that is replaced with fat. So that's another place where the fat can accumulate, and you're like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? But the lack of exercise and the loss of muscle mass is replaced with the fat. So a lot of, really it's, and then lack of sleep also gets us off balance. So if we're up late, we tend to want to have a snack. We want to eat something while we're watching TV, and a lot of times we're drawn to like sugary things and sweet things. So all of those things, our lifestyle, how we live our life, our sleep patterns, all those things can contribute to the weight gain. And then we have the added burden of the hormones being off balance that make it easier for some of those things to cascade and to grow. So, and I thought this was cute. Dear Lord, so far today I'm doing all right. I have not been grumpy, nasty, or cycled towards others. I have not whined, complained, or cursed. I have not eaten unhealthy, fattening foods, nor indulged in a glass after glass of wine. I have not craved chocolate. But I will be getting out of bed in a minute, and I think I will really need your help then. And I thought that was cute. So what do we need to do? What are some things we can do to make that better? So what I tell all my people is, you want to focus on healthy eating. You want to eat a quality plant-based diet. You want to eat lots of fruits and vegetables. And then these plants also contain phytoestrogens that help with that reduction in estrogen. And things like soy actually is beneficial because it binds to those estrogen receptors and gives us protection properties, from things like breast cancer or estrogen-driven cancers. And then, I'm a vegan, but you don't have to be. You can eat plant, but then I would choose, or suggest choosing, you want to get non-GMO, hormone, antibiotic-free, pasture-raised meats, things that have not been injected with all these chemicals and antibiotics, because those become a part of you when you eat them. Whatever's a part of that flesh becomes a part of you. So you want to avoid that because those add to the issue. Our key is to be alkaline and avoid acidic foods. So plants are perfectly alkaline foods, and the more we can get of them, the better. Processed foods, junk foods, sugar, all of those are acidic, which makes our body more acidic. And acidity leads to inflammation, and inflammation can lead to disease. So really, we have the power in our fork as to what, what we develop or not. And then you want to make sure you're doing weight-bearing exercise and strength training, because you want to build that muscle mass, and weight-bearing exercise adds to building bone mass. And that's very, very important, because as we age, a lot of people who don't move a lot tend to end up with osteopenia, osteoporosis. You see the ladies that are humped over, and none of us want that, but we have to do things to keep that from happening. And then if you're petite and small like I am, I'm at greater risk for it because I have less muscle or bone mass. So that's very, very important to me. I don't think very few people drink enough water. You need to drink lots of water. Most people are dehydrated because if you're thirsty, you're dehydrated. So, half your body weight in ounces at least every day. And then that sleep. from 10 to 2 is the perfect time for healing in that circadian rhythm. So though it's good to, like go to bed at 9:45 or 9:30, kind of get settled in so you get that really good healing time while you're sleeping. And then de-stress. We all feel stress, and it's just a part of life, but we need to figure out what can we do to de-stress? What do I enjoy? And it might be like, just in prayer, that's your de-stressor, or meditation, or going to a yoga class, or being with your friends and just hanging out. Laughter is great medicine. You should laugh as much as you can every single day, because that releases those feel-good hormones. And then something I love is grounding, and it really is real. So if you go outside on the earth, in the grass, barefoot, there's an electrical field in the earth, and it's just great to do that, and it will make you feel good. So that's something that you really, really, should do. So anyway, and then the last slide that I had is, something that Dr. Odom has repeated many times, but we want to eat food, not too much, but mostly plants. And what happens is most people eat way too much. We never give our digestive system a break. And then most people go to bed with something on their stomach, so they're missing out on all that great healing. And something I left out here was the gut microbiome, but she kind of covered that. But all those unhealthy foods disrupts that microbiome balance, and that leads to problems too. So there was so much to think about in this talk, and it was really hard to narrow down to what to say, but I hope that some of that was helpful. And I know Dr. Odom probably has things he could offer. And but anyway, that's what I have for you today. And I don't know how to unshare. Let's see.
There should be a little red button at the top.
Stop share. I see it.
Awesome. Oh, wait. What were you going to say? You're muted.
I just said that I would mute so you could talk, because I know that it causes that echo. So I'm out of here.
Okay, I knew we talked about that at the beginning. I think we were both hitting mute, unmute. Yeah, Barbara's got some speaker issues, but I'm so happy that you shared that. That was so good. The main thing I got was to get rid of stress, because a lot of us are already eating healthy and exercising, but I think one of the big things in our life is that stress level, and staying with their circadian rhythm. When the sun comes up, we need to get up, do our work, do our exercise, all that stuff. But when the sun goes down, we need to be calming ourselves. And I know as women, even as young moms, you stay up late. What she said just really resonated with me. And we have a shred program. For those that don't know about the shred, this is what it teaches us to do, is to get with that circadian rhythm, reduce stress, and to flood our bodies with these phytochemicals, fiber and phytonutrients. Those are the two things we need to have a healthy gut. And I just want to share with you guys what we do to make sure we get plenty is we add Juice Plus to our diet. These shakes are a game changer. And she was talking about that midday slump, at 3 o'clock, you start getting hungry. You'll eat everything in the kitchen while you're cooking dinner. I've been there, done that. But these shakes are great. And they say it's, what is it? When you have that willpower, that's what it is. Because it makes you even. It makes your sugar levels, all that stuff even, because they're high fiber, which is so good for your gut, which helps you avoid that menopausal middle. And fiber is going to make you poop. So we need to be pooping every day. Some people multiple times a day. That's awesome. So we have our shakes, and you can just mix it with water and go, or you can put it in the blender with lots of other good plant foods, add more goodness. I love to add spinach and frozen fruit, and an avocado makes it really thick, like a milkshake. So many good things. And the pudding, I gave a sample to a friend, and I was just telling her how the different things she could do with it. She went home and made the pudding immediately. It's so easy. Just 1 scoop of the complete with a little almond milk. just mix it up, or whatever kind of milk you like. It's so delicious. So we have our complete powder. We also have Perform protein powder, which is made especially for athletes. If you're working out a lot, as we age, we really need to get more protein in our diet. And this is all super clean, and it gives you more energy. It gives you that mental focus, and it's all from plants, which is so good. And then of course we take the quad. We call it the quad because it's 4 different blends of fruits and vegetables and berries and omegas. So we have the fruit and veggie blend, and I got the box so you can see the ingredients. If you get this in your body every day, what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen to your gut, right? Your immune system, right? Leaning your body out. And then of course our berries, this is my box of samples. So it's a big box, but look at those ingredients, guys. Get these in your body every single day, and that's going to help your gut health. And that's the main thing about having that lean belly. And then of course our omegas. It's not just the 3s, it's the perfect balance of all those wonderful omegas, and it's all from plants. So it's so much better for you than a fish pill, which a lot of people use. We also have chewables, which have lots of fiber, and kids actually get the fruit and veggie blend at no cost to the parent when they order. So I love that program, and that's what we have to help. And guys, I love exercise, but as I've gotten older, I've learned not to overdo the cardio because it's adding stress. I'm trying to do more weights. Yes, I still do some cardio for my heart, but as you age, it's important to reduce the stress, and overworking out can stress your body. That's why you need more plant foods for your recovery. Recovery is huge as you get older. When you're in menopause, you cannot handle the stress that you can handle when you're younger. So, Dr. Odom, you want to wrap it up with 1 or 2 minutes?
Sure.
We're going over, but we'd love to hear from you.
Sure. You said 1 or 2 hours, didn't you?
I know you could.
First off, that was great, Barb. Thank you so much for that. And your video was an excellent choice as an intro. So, but this menopausal middle, it's not just for women. I'm sorry to tell you, it's for every human being that reaches a certain middle spread point in their lives. So, but for you ladies, it certainly can be accentuated. And when I was medical director of the anti-aging clinic, and we had people come in, and we spent a lot of time with them on the front end, interviewing with a questionnaire and asking them a series of questions. And what we determined was over 50% of everybody that came to us, young, middle-aged, old, or elderly, seniors, 50% of them had adrenal fatigue. And people don't even talk about that. So what is cortisol? I know you heard that. We used to think of cortisol like we think of insulin, and that is it's the fat storage hormone. So who wants any more of that? We don't. So we know today too that estrogen is a fat storage hormone. So unopposed estrogen, when our body's out of sync, out of balance, out of harmony, then we don't ovulate. And when we don't ovulate, we have only estrogen, unopposed estrogen. So we have weight gain. And so much of that goes right in the middle, right where we can see it. It's that wrong kind of fat that we hate. It's the visceral fat. It's protective for our internal organs, but it also is a nidus for inflammation. That was a great job though, Barb. Thank you for that. So reduce your cortisol, reduce your insulin, and reduce estrogen by allowing your body to ovulate and allowing your ovaries to perform normally. And how do we do all that? There's no magical button that you press, but it's when your body is in balance and in harmony. We call it homeostasis. That's when you ovulate. And what I found so many times when patients would come to me after seeing several other infertility specialists, and just the simple act of adding what is in Juice Plus, just those phytonutrients, and I don't know which one or which combination, but it was amazing how within 6 months, a fairly large percentage of patients conceived. And of course, they gave me all the credit. You know, God gets the credit. Their body gets the credit. What was missing was just phytonutrients, just as you said, Angel, fiber and phytonutrients. If we could add that and forget everything else, forget even hydration, sleeping 8 hours, reducing stress, blah, 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 blah. Phytonutrients and fiber, literally, somebody once said, these plant foods, fruits and vegetables are so good, they'll save your life. They'll just put you right back in balance so your body can heal and repair. You've got to have those component parts. And that's what Juice Plus provides for us. So until next time, this was excellent.
That was so good. I was just reading Maureen's question. Dr. Odom, could you briefly address how the body responds to menopause when it is surgically induced? Very good question.
Okay. Surgically induced menopause means that you have your ovaries removed. Hysterectomy means removal of the uterus. When you have a BSO, bilateral oophorectomy, then your ovaries are gone. That is known as surgical menopause. That is very upsetting because it's immediate. It's not a gradual thing, and that your body actually acclimates to over a period of time. But when you have surgical menopause, you just have to deal with issues immediately. And I couldn't give you a 2-minute synopsis of that, but it's something that we all have to address. And it's whether or not you want to add hormones, exogenous hormones or not. And then if you do, which ones? And so that's another whole topic.
We could always get on Voxer, right? We have an app where we can ask questions and get those good answers. So very good question. I'm sure a lot of people will want to know about that. So, all right, guys. Are there any questions on the Facebook? Do you see that, Brandy? Let's see.
No question.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for keeping an eye on that. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing. You have so much wisdom, and we're going to hear more and more from you. I just know it. All right, guys. Bye.
Great job.
Thanks, Barb.